Chapter 1176 Spring Thunder Requests a Battle. After Zhang Yi returned, he immediately called everyone over and informed them that they would go to the Qinling abyss in 3 days to hunt down the centipedes that disrupted mining. This matter was not a secret. The key people, Deng Xintong and Yang Xinxin, knew about it. Zhang Yi did not inform others to avoid leaks, but everyone had a rough idea in their hearts. As for Lu Karen, he had even prepared various props for this operation in advance. For example, lighting equipment, night vision goggles, grappling hooks, jet flight devices, compressed oxygen, etc. Zhang Yi looked at everyone and began to assign tasks to everyone. I and the other 3 Ypsilons will be responsible for hunting Ypsilon-class mutant beasts. Among you, non-combatants will stay in the shadow space of Jingwei. Andy Zhou, Xia, Rand, and Xian, you don't need to show up. Hua, Liang Yu, Uncle Yu, and Fatty, you have to fight. Deng Xintong, forget about asking for support from Blizzard City. There are not many people who can fight there now. Even if they send a few people, they are just making up the numbers. Zhang Yi had already made a plan in his mind, and it was very clear when he spoke it out. Liang Yu was holding Long Ming in her arms. When she heard that she could go to the battle, her eyes suddenly became sharp, and she exuded an excitement of eagerness to try. Since she got the alien origin and source spirit provided by Zhang Yi, her supernatural power has been greatly improved, and her current strength is no longer the same as before. She also eagerly hopes to participate in the battle and help Zhang Yi. Uncle Yu smiled with a mouthful of big teeth and clenched his fists. Great! I've been waiting for this day. Only Fatty Su weakly raised his hand and said with a worried look, Boss, with my strength, I won't be a drag in the past, right? Zhang Yi glanced at him. Your current strength is the level of an elite member even in the investigation team. Don't be so bad with me.
But
I'm afraid. Fatty Su looked worried. Zhang Yi just thought it was funny. It's okay. You won't be afraid after a few more experiences. But it's so dangerous underground. What if an accident happens? Zhang Yi smiled and said, This is easy. Pay attention in the next life. Fatty Su was so scared that he covered his face and cried, I don't want it. Zhang Yi was too lazy to pay attention to him. This dead fat man was too cowardly. He must let him go to the battlefield to experience more. Otherwise, no matter how high his superpower index is in the future, he will be a useless person if he doesn't dare to take action. He will not be soft-hearted to Fatty Su. No one is born to fight, including him, Zhang Yi. Didn't he grow up from one life-and-death battle after another? What's more, Zhang Yi has a plan. If it was just dealing with an ordinary swarm of insects, then with Hua and Liang Yu there, protecting others would not be a problem at all. As for why Fatty Su had to go with them, it was because his ability was very useful in dealing with swarms of insects. Earth centipedes live underground all year round, and they are not actually species that can withstand severe cold. Fatty Su's blowing snow ability is not very lethal, but it can achieve a good control effect. Especially in large-scale combat, it can be very effective. When we get to the abyss, let him use his ability to influence the Earth centipedes, which can gain a slight advantage for our forces. Others had no objection to Zhang Yi's arrangement. As the leader of this operation, Shengjing District was very well prepared, and all kinds of information were provided relatively complete. In addition, there were 4 Ypsilons participating in the operation at the same time, which gave people an extremely solid feeling. It is no exaggeration to say that such a team can now sweep across most of the countries in the world. Zhang Yi immediately distributed equipment to everyone so that they could adapt in advance. Among all the people, only Fatty Su was always uneasy and worried. Zhang Yi ignored him and let him adjust himself. But not long after, Fatty Su suddenly took the initiative to find Zhang Yi. At this time, his face was full of heroic spirit, as if he had completely changed into a different person. Boss, don't worry this time. I will definitely perform well in the Chenling operation. Do you have any powerful weapons? Give me a few. Well, and that potion, give me 2 more bottles. Zhang Yi looked at Fatty Su's unfamiliar face and asked curiously, Are you drunk? Fatty Su frowned and said dissatisfiedly, Boss, Look at what you were talking about. I, Su Chunlei, am a man. Isn't it natural for me to go to the battlefield and make achievements? In fact, you don't need to tell me. I have wanted to volunteer for a long time. Zhang Yi stared at his face, and after thinking for a moment, a light suddenly flashed in his mind. Could it be? Miss Li is going too. Zhang Yi's words made Fatty Sue's face change suddenly. He blushed. He actually blushed. You know, there are not many things in this world that can make a dead fat otaku blush, except the opposite sex. She just told me that she was also assigned to the action team this time, so she will go with the team. Boss, you must help me this time. Let me show my power in front of her once. Maybe we can succeed. You should understand, right? In this dangerous time, girl's inner. The heart of a woman is usually weak, and she longs for someone to protect her. And I, Su Chunlei, am that man. Fatty Su patted his chest loudly. As long as we succeed this time, I will definitely take her back to Xinjiang. How about our child recognizing you as their godfathers? Fatty Su smiled foolishly, and his mind seemed to have imagined a happy future of the two of them with many children and grandchildren, sitting in a rocking chair and slowly growing old. As he spoke, saliva unconsciously flowed from the corners of his mouth. Fatty Su came back to his senses and sucked the saliva back with his slurp. Zhang Yi's expression was distorted, and he silently took 7 steps back. You think far ahead. I'm just afraid that things won't go as planned. Zhang Yi looked at him with a squinting look, and the smile on the corner of his mouth was full of teasing. The fact that Li Yongyang approached him was extremely suspicious in itself, and only a dead otaku like Fatty Su, who had never been in love, would be so easily fooled. But there were some things that Zhang Yi didn't say for the time being. He wanted to see what Li Yongyang would do. But I like people with dreams. I'll help you with this. Zhang Yi generously gave Fatty Su a lot of weapons. After Uncle Yu's training, Fatty Su's physical fitness has greatly improved. Carrying these weapons to fight is not a big problem. Anyway, he is not expected to kill the enemy. It's good to learn to protect himself first. Fatty Su left with a pile of weapons in his arms. Looking at him, it seems that he has been imagining how to win the heart of the beauty with his heroic performance. At this time, he didn't know how much he would pay for his momentary impulse. That is a pain that can never be erased in a lifetime. Chapter 1177. Selecting Generals. 3 days was enough time for Zhang Yi and his team to make adequate preparations. Although Zhang Yi did not intend to ask Blizzard City to send reinforcements, he would not miss this opportunity to find Zhu Zheng to get some money. After all, once the Qinling mission was completed, Blizzard City would directly obtain the resources of the semi-finished Yuan mine. So Zhang Yi still contacted Zhu Zheng and asked for a lot of supplies from him so that he could feel balanced. Zhu Zheng certainly had no objection. For Zhang Yi, the energy gap was not large, but the millions of people in Blizzard City were in great need of new energy to survive. Therefore, the exchange of interests between the two was a trouble-free process and was quickly finalized. 3 days passed in a flash. Representatives from the 6 regions gathered. Representatives from the East China Sea region and the Southwest region did not leave. Although they did not participate in this operation, they still wanted to stay and find out some information. After all, the mysterious area under the Qinling Mountains contained huge secrets that they were eager to learn. The 6 regions participating in the operation also gathered a large number of captain-level and above strong men. In the Northwest region, Go Chun Li Chonggong led the team. Subordinates. Sky God of War, Chen Lanlan, Supernatural Index 9,700 points. Earth God of War, Chi Yuquan, Supernatural Index 9,600 points. Man Middle God of War, Xiao Lai, Supernatural Index 9,800 points. Antarctic God of War, Di Fei, Supernatural Index 9,500 points. North Pole God of War, Chen Jiahao, Supernatural Index 9,700 points. In the Northeast region, Luya Han Shanzhua leads the team. Subordinates. Fox Fairy Hu Mengfong, Supernatural Index 9,800 points. Yellow Fairy Zhao Chanhai, Supernatural Index 9,600 points. White Fairy Wei Shufan, Supernatural Index 9,500 points. Willow Fairy Song Yushu, Supernatural Index 9,700 points. Gray Fairy Wendong Xue, Supernatural Index 9,500 points. In the Jiangnan region, Chaos Zhang Yi leads the team. Erlang Xianqing Jinjuandeng Shintong, Supernatural Index 9,500 points. No official code name Liangyu, Supernatural Index 9,500 points. No official code name Su Chunlei, Supernatural Index 6,800 points. No official code name Yu Jiguang, Supernatural Index 7,100 points. Chaos's Battle Pet Huahua, Supernatural Index 9,800 points. The others are hiding in Jingwei's shadow space. This matter is a secret, and the others are not aware of it for the time being. The troops of the three major regions have been assembled, and the Xinjiang region is led by the Wuyo Valley Guardian, Zenyuanzi Zhongyu. Zhongyu has been guarding near the Qinling Mountains to prevent the centipedes from rioting, so he did not appear in Xinjiang. However, when the Xinjiang Alien Task Force appeared, the aliens in other regions still jumped. Because under the leadership of Xidagarbashong Dawan, a group of captain-level aliens with amazing momentum appeared in front of them. These people were all wearing the combat uniforms of the Dragon Roaring Guards. Each of them would be a capable person in any other region. 17 people. All 17 are captain-level figures. Zhang Yi stared at them, his eyes becoming a little solemn. Deng Shintong took a breath of cold air and showed a helpless, bitter smile on his face. Among these 17 people, most of them were as strong as him, or even stronger than him. I didn't expect that he could be considered a top figure in the Jiangnan region, but if he were in Xinjiang, I'm afraid he wouldn't even be in the top 20. In the Xinjiang region, there are 30 or 40 people below Epsilon. Among them, the special forces directly under Shang Dawan are called the 36 Heavenly Gangs. Each of these people is a strong man with a supernatural power index of 9,000 plus. And this time, they sent less than half of the people. Deng Shintong said to Zhang Yi and others. Zhang Yi fell into silence. It is worthy of being the Xinjiang region. After obtaining the resources under the Qinling Mountains, they have enough ability to cultivate a considerable number of strong people. Among these people, perhaps there will be new Epsilons born in the near future. It's worthy of being the first district. Zhang Yi sighed. When the 36 Heavenly Gangs appeared, not only Zhang Yi and his team, but also people from the northwest and northeast regions felt the huge pressure. Xinjiang district doesn't need to show off to them, but this simple way proves their strength. Fatty Su's eyes have been searching among the 36 Heavenly Gangs, and he saw Li Yongyang in dark blue combat uniform at a glance. Unlike others, Li Yongyang's clothes are slightly different in style. Although she also belongs to the Longming Guard, she is not a member of the 36 Heavenly Gangs. Xinjiang is not short of factional relations, and the aliens also have their own camps. Qin Qigong is just a representative figure jointly recommended by various forces. Li Yongyang's code name is Blue Bird, from a family force close to the Deng family, so she will become the guide of Zhang Yi and others. After feeling the gaze of Fatty Su, Li Yongyang slightly side-glanced over here. Through the transparent mask, she showed Fatty Su a warm smile, which made Fatty Su's heart beat. This naturally did not escape Zhang Yi's eyes, and there was some strange look between his eyebrows. He already knew about Li Yongyang's special identity, so he did not stop her from contacting Fatty Su. But how it will develop in the future depends entirely on God's will. Qin Qigong and Shang Dawan both came to the scene. Before leaving, they made the final mobilization. Qin Qigong said to everyone will first meet with the Jinsho Guard led by Zhen Yuanzi when they go there. This operation is led by Zhen Yuanzi. I hope everyone can cooperate with him well and eradicate the underground centipede tribe as soon as possible, so that the Yuan mine can continue to be mined as soon as possible and make outstanding contributions to the prosperity of Huashu country. Qin Qigong had reminded everyone of these words a long time ago, and everyone had no objection. After all, compared to them, Zhen Yuanzi, the garrison commander of Wuyo Valley, knows more about the centipede tribe and the situation under the abyss. Everyone is relatively relaxed about this operation. With such a huge force, there is almost no task that cannot be completed. Even if the centipede problem cannot be easily solved, there will be no major casualties. After the mobilization, Zhang Yi and others boarded the plane. The F-37 transport plane took off from the airport and flew towards the Qinling area. Han Shanzhua is a carefree and self-acquainted person. No matter where he goes, there is always a blood-red crow standing on his shoulder, which is very conspicuous. After getting on the plane, he came to find Zhang Yi. "Hey, boy, let's chat." Zhang Yi looked at Han Shanzhua and said with a smile, "Okay, is there anything you want to teach me?" Han Shanzhua smiled. "It's nothing big. I just want to ask you for a favor." Chapter 1178 Zhen Yuan Zizongyu. Han Shanzhua explained his purpose to Zhang Yi. He hoped that Zhang Yi could take him away when necessary. After all, this battle was in the underground abyss. If there was danger at that time, it would be very difficult to escape. However, this was not a big problem for Zhang Yi, who was the first in life-saving ability. Zhang Yi nodded. "That's easy. We are all allies, and we should help each other." Han Shanzhua nodded with satisfaction. His big face was white and clean, with a sparse mustache at the corner of his mouth. He looked fierce and had a standard appearance of a Northeast man. "I just like your personality. Don't worry, Buddy won't let you help in vain. We will take care of each other after we go down." He slapped his thigh and said, "To tell you the truth, I am optimistic about you among them. If you get into trouble down there, your brother, will risk my life to protect you." Zhang Yi rolled his eyes in his heart. "If you have that ability, why did you come to me to help you escape?" Okay, let's focus on helping each other." Zhang Yi, in accordance with the code of conduct of not hitting a smiling person, still gave Han Shanzhua some face. Han Shanzhua sat next to Zhang Yi with his legs crossed, talking about this and that. At first, Zhang Yi didn't think it was a big deal. But slowly his words changed. "I remember when I was hunting in Changbai Mountain, that guy, the tiger boss in the northeast, stood up 5 or 6 meters tall. Fortunately, a big white bear I raised drove it away." "Do you know the big white bear?" "It's not a real bear, it's a dog, and it grows as big as a bear." Zhang Yi, haha, wonderful. After bragging to Zhang Yi, Han Shanzhua left with satisfaction and patted him on the shoulder before leaving. "Come and call me if you have anything. Brother is helpful." Zhang Yi's eyes twitched. But he is also well-informed, and he usually knows many people from all over the world who go to Tianhai City to work. In the entire Huashu Kingdom, if it comes to bragging, the big man in the northeast is definitely one of the best. Maybe it's because the weather is too cold and there's a lack of outdoor activities, so they've trained their tongues quite well. Zhang Yi smiled and shook his head. He didn't dislike people like Han Shanzhua. On the contrary, when he was working in the warehouse, he knew a few northeastern buddies. It was quite interesting to have them around when they were drinking and chatting. There was just one thing: whether they drank or not, they would talk about the universe as long as they started talking. As for Han Shanzhua's ability, Zhang Yi didn't know it yet. However, judging from his behavior habits, Zhang Yi judged that he should have a relatively strong melee strength. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so careless and approach others casually. For example, Zhang Yi would be very cautious to keep a distance from others. F-37 passed through the thick clouds like a steel dragon, quickly leaving Xinjiang and heading to the Qinling Mountains in the southwest. The crowd didn't stay on the plane for too long before they arrived at this mountain range. The Chenling Mountains, which stretches across the center of the land of Huashu country, is the north-south dividing line in the geographical orientation of Huashu country. The Dragon Vein, revered as the Dragon Vein of Chinese civilization, is connected to another famous dragon vein, the Kunlun Mountains. It is long and deep, like a giant dragon lying on the earth. It is quite spectacular when viewed from the sky. Even though it is covered with snow, you can still feel its grandeur. The plane landed in Shuilong City on the east side of the Qinling Mountains. Everyone got off the plane one after another, and a sturdy man led a team to greet them here. The guardian of Wuyo Valley, Zhenyuanzi Zongyu. He is not tall, only a little over 1.7 meters, over 40 years old, but his figure is as strong as a bulldog. Seeing the arrival of the supporters, Zhong Yu's face barely squeezed out a barely visible smile. Everyone welcome. Time is tight, and there is no time to rest. Please follow me to the war room first. Zhong Yu left the sentence and turned to walk towards the building not far away. Zhang Yi secretly said to Deng Shintong, "This man looks a bit dull." Deng Shintong glanced at him and said, "This kind of personality is indeed most suitable for being exiled to the frontier and guarding in a bitter cold place." Zhang Yi couldn't help but nodded. Indeed, compared with the comfortable Xinjiang, the living conditions in Shuilong City are obviously much simpler. A simple intersection and a few monotonous words can make people see that Zhong Yu is not a smooth person. Everyone is not surprised by this. The three Ypsilons followed Zhong Yu to the conference room, and the others waited in the hall below. As soon as Fatty Su sat down, Liangyang came to his side, put her white and slender palms on the armrests of the chair, and looked at him with a smile. "There are too many people over there. I come to sit here for a while. You shouldn't mind, right?" She smiled gently, and her smile easily made people feel close. Before Deng Shintong and the others could speak, Fatty Su hurriedly said, No, just sit anywhere." Deng Shintong and Uncle Yu had a sly smile on their faces, and Liang Yu couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. His eyes fell on Liangyang, and his eyes were unclear. Then he looked at the dozen people at the 36 celestial beings. They were also looking at this side with strange eyes. Liang Yu secretly she was too bold, flirting with Fatty Su so openly. Liangyang was indeed very bold. She sat next to Fatty Su, smiling gently, and the tenderness in her eyes was like melting spring water, which made Fatty Su's heart ripple. "I didn't expect you to come over this time." "That's great. This way, I won't feel lonely." Liangyang smiled. Fatty Su's ears turned red, and he smiled foolishly. "I just knew you were coming, so I resolutely participated in this action." "That's great. With you here, my heart is much more at ease." Liangyang held her heart with both hands, and there were almost little hearts in her eyes. Fatty Su was very excited. He held Liangyang's hand, his little eyes were rarely wide open, and he said seriously, "Don't worry, I will definitely protect you well. I won't let you get hurt." Lei, Yang. The people around him felt a chill. Deng Shintong, Uncle Yu, and Liang Yu quickly sat far away, for fear that they would explode if they got a little closer. At the same time, the 36 celestial beings sitting on the other side also distanced themselves and even rubbed their arms. They were also covered with goosebumps by the two people's clinging. At this time, in the meeting room upstairs, Zhong Yu was seriously explaining the battle plan to the other three people. "Some time ago, we have carefully explored the abyss and figured out the action patterns of the centipede group. This is a group with an extremely strong reproductive ability, especially the two Ypsilon-class queens and kings. They are producing powerful offspring at an astonishing speed. Therefore, we must fight quickly and behead them. Otherwise, once we give them a chance to breathe, they will quickly escape. At that time, there will be endless troubles." Chapter 1179. Honesty. Zhong Yu talked about the harmfulness of the centipede. This thing has an extremely powerful ability to drill into the soil, and it is not easy for humans to hunt them underground. This is not a simple, decisive battle. When the centipede finds that it cannot be defeated, it will definitely run away. Therefore, it is necessary to ask for help from Ypsilon in other regions. It is necessary to use the advantage of numbers to encircle and suppress it to ensure that the operation is foolproof. Zhong Yu looked at the three top aliens in front of him, and his deep voice was a bit of natural coldness. "Not fighting at home. Even if we have the advantage of numbers, I hope you can cooperate without reservation. Otherwise, this operation is likely to fail. At that time, it will be difficult for us to continue to mine the rich Yuanshi veins underground. Therefore, everyone needs to tell others about your abilities." As soon as the sentence came out, Zhang Yi, Li Changgong, and others looked at Zhong Yu. Zhong Yu smiled deeply. "I understand, so I'll go first." He raised his right hand, and a yellow power emerged in his palm. It was a strong jelly-like power. After emerging in his palm, it quickly spread along his arm. Finally, It turned into a set of orange-yellow armor covering the whole body. My ability is called Guarding the 8 Directions, and it is a release system. First, I can use my ability to turn into armor, which has powerful defensive capabilities. Second, it is the ability to control the earth. I can control soil and rocks. It is because of this ability that I can guard the Qinling mountains. In order to show his ability, he stretched out his left hand to the wall beside him. The wall cracked instantly, and the concrete in it floated over and sank in the palm of Zongyu's left hand. So when we get underground, I can open up the terrain for you and increase your defense. After Zongyu's introduction, Zhang Yi and Li Changgong immediately looked at Han Shanzhua. After a battle between him and Li Changgong, each other's abilities have been revealed to others. Only Han Shanzhua's ability is unknown to everyone. Han Shanzhua snorted lightly. Well, it's my turn. He introduced his ability. Han Shanzhua, an orc-type ability user. The ability is called Disaster Crow. This is an ability that can transform into a giant crow and can use supernatural powers to transform into a flock of crows to work for oneself. The most terrifying thing about this ability is the sign of disaster, which can bring bad luck to all targets within a radius of 10 kilometers. Han Shanzhua crossed his hands and supported his chin and said to everyone in a deep voice with a dim look in his eyes, I can make the enemy's movements slow, mentally tired, supernatural powers sluggish, and plagued by bad luck. Whoever is my enemy will usher in the greatest misfortune in his life.
Quack.
Han Shanzhua imitated the crow's cry twice. But the gloomy atmosphere he deliberately created did not seem to be accepted by everyone. Zongyu nodded. Well, it turns out to be a powerful control ability, which is indeed of great use when dealing with the centipede tribe. Especially when we deal with the centipede queen and king insects, it is a group battle, and it does require the ability to reduce benefits. Zongyu wrote down everyone's ability and then began to arrange a battle plan. Now everyone's abilities are clear. Go Chun and I are the main attackers, responsible for fighting the ground centipedes head-on. Wanduan is responsible for assisting in defense and absorbing the attacks of the ground centipedes. Luya is responsible for controlling the field and applying debuffs to them. And the two of you will assist in the battle from the side and interfere. He emphasized again, the ground centipedes live deep in the earth all year round, have very powerful drilling capabilities, and extremely strong defensive armor. So if we want to quickly solve them, we must work together. And the most important thing is to let Go Chin use his abilities. Li Changgong is the main attacker of this operation. After all, his I am the will of heaven can ignore almost all defensive means and directly kill the ground centipedes. This made Li Changgong's mouth rise, and he leaned back on the chair with his hands folded across his chest, with a bit of arrogance on his expression. Han Shanzhua was not happy to see him like this, and pounded the table. I'm not happy when you say that. Then my combat power will be strong after I transform. Don't you know that crows eat centipedes? When the time comes, I will stretch out my beak and bite a small centipede in one bite, and I will chew them all up. Zongyu said calmly, this is just a temporary deployment. In fact, we need to adjust the tactics according to the situation during the battle. It's just that I have fought with centipedes before and I know how strong their defense is. To be ashamed, the last time I fought with the insect mother, I didn't even break its shell. Han Shanzhua calmed down. He subconsciously reached out and touched his mouth, as if to measure whether his beak could peck open the shell of the centipede. Li Changgong said, leave the main attack to me. No matter how hard its shell is, it's useless in my eyes. Zhang Yi had to admit that this guy should be the one with the strongest killing ability among the four. After all, unlike Zhang Yi, who put all his attributes on defense, Li Changgong used all his attribute points on offense. Then, how should the origin of the centipede be distributed? Zhang Yi threw out a very sharp question. The most attractive resource for this operation is the Yuan Shi or vein, but for the 4 Epsilon-level aliens, the origin of the 2 Epsilon-level alien beasts is also very tempting. Zongyu replied, of course. The distribution is determined according to each person's contribution. If the operation goes smoothly, then we will distribute it equally. But if something goes wrong, we need to consider who contributed how much, and then decide on the distribution. Li Changgong glanced at Zhang Yi and said lightly, "Let's finish the centipede first. It's too early to talk about these now. It's too time-consuming to always be fussy about these details." Zhang Yi sneered. "Some things are better to be made clear in advance, so as to avoid uneven distribution of benefits and someone turning against each other. For these two origins, obviously no one wants to suffer a little loss. The most troublesome point is that the origin is an energy body, and it cannot be cut evenly like a cake." Zhongyu frowned when he saw that no one was willing to give in. If something was not discussed well, trouble would inevitably arise. "I think this is how it works. If anyone wants the origin of the alien beast, they can exchange it with the yuanshi or vein in their hands." "How about that?" he said indifferently. "If you want it, I can give you my share. But I want your share of the ore vein." Chapter 1180. Primordial Stone and Origin. Zhongyu's proposal made the other three people present fall into thought. The value of the yuanshi or vein is also very huge. For example, for Zhang Yi, if he can get that, he can let Liu Karen build more powerful mechanical equipment and upgrade weapons. At that time, Zhang Yi couldn't imagine what their shelter would become. And the origin of the Epsilon-level alien beast is even more precious. Now that they have reached their realm, it is almost impossible to improve if they don't hunt aliens of the same level. Putting the two things together is indeed difficult to choose. Not only him, Han Shanzhua and Li Changgong are also entangled. As the commander of the Northwest region, Li Changgong is good at both the yuanshi or vein and the alien beast origin. The former can develop the Northwest so that he can get higher support and consolidate his rule. But the latter can make him stronger and have enough strength so that no one can shake his position. But in that case, the people below will definitely be shaken. After all, doing so is for their own sake and giving up the interests of the entire region. From this point of view, Zhongyu actually said so lightly that he was willing to give up the origin of the alien beast, which was really admirable. It was good that at least the others had one less competitor, and the room for choice became larger. Zhang Yi knocked on the table. "These two things are very valuable, and it would be great to get either one. Let's make a deal here. Those who choose the origin of the alien beast must hand over the yuanshi vein in their hands." Several people thought about it and agreed to this proposal. In this way, everyone would gain something no matter what, and naturally there would be no need to worry about losing anything. Zhang Yi thought to himself, "Originally, if the operation was successful, I could only get half of the 10% yuanshi vein obtained by the Jiangnan region. But if I give up the origin of the alien beast in exchange for another yuanshi vein, it will be mine." The four forces finally reached a consensus, so the four bosses walked out of the meeting room. Everyone had already prepared for the battle, and there was no need to delay anymore, and they could go directly to the place where the abyss was. The four people walked down from the second floor, and the aliens under their hands stood up quickly. Li Yongyang gently stood up from the chair, threw a lovely look at Fatty Su, and returned to the team in Shengjing District. Zhongyu saw them, put his hands behind his back, and shouted loudly, "In this operation, you need to help us clean up the monsters of the centipede tribe. I can remind you here, don't underestimate your opponents. There is no shortage of powerful individuals among them, and there are many of them. If you are not careful, it is easy to be overwhelmed by the swarm of insects and then die without leaving even a bone." After the stern lecture, Zhongyu changed his tone again. "But this is also a very good opportunity. Those centipedes evolve by swallowing a large amount of underground yuan ore, and they have powerful origins in their bodies like aliens. So for you, they are all very delicious supplements. As long as you have the strength, you can become stronger if you hunt down a few powerful centipedes." The aliens below were really tempted. Resources are the most scarce things after the end of the world. Especially for aliens, there are only two ways to improve their strength. The first is to be cultivated by the region. The top leaders will give them various energy materials and genetic modification. The second is to participate in the mission and kill the rebellious aliens or beasts. However, as the regions become stronger and aliens appear on a large scale, the opportunities left for them are getting fewer and fewer. Usually, there will be a lot of people competing for a mission. However, this time, the action led by the 4 Ypsilons is definitely the highest level since the end of Huashu Kingdom. Risks and opportunities coexist. As long as they can survive this action and hunt a few powerful centipedes, they can grow rapidly. After the end of the world, personal power is infinitely magnified. As long as you are strong enough, you can quickly stand out. Materials, fame, power, opposite sex, almost everything is linked to your strength. Zhong Yu's simple words made the blood of the people below boil. Even Uncle Yu clenched his fists, and his eyes were full of fighting spirit. Liang Yu also had a gleam in his eyes, and his left hand holding the knife tightened subconsciously. They can't always hide behind Zhang Yi and eat for free. To become stronger and become a partner who can really help Zhang Yi, you need to rely on your own efforts. Every alien is eager to try, looking forward to improving their strength through this opportunity. Even Huahua slowly opened his eyes from Liang Yu's shoulder, and a sharp light flashed in his two-color eyes. Since absorbing the source of God, it only needs 2 things to truly reach Ypsilon. The first is the origin of more advanced mutant creatures. The second is time. The former can accelerate its breakthrough. As long as it gets enough origin, it is only a matter of time to officially become an alien beast of the Ypsilon level. Among the people here today, the gap between talents is very large. Some people are cultivated through technology and hard work, and the upper limit has been locked. But everyone wants to fight for a future. The pre-war mobilization is over. There is nothing extra. They immediately came to the train station of Shuilong City. From here, there is a special train to the Qinling Mountains, which can go directly to the abyss, where the Yuanshi or vein is found. Everyone got on the car according to their respective camps and headed towards Weo Valley. Zhang Yi sat in the car, and Yang Xinxin's voice rang in his ears. "Brother, try to extend the time of this battle." Zhang Yi slowly opened his eyes and asked, "Oh, why?" According to the previous plan, the battle with the centipede should not be delayed for too long. Otherwise, if the 2 Ypsilon-level insect mothers and king insects were let go, there would probably be endless troubles. In the shadow space of Jingwei, the people inside can actually observe the situation outside. When Yang Xinxin came, she had already observed the situation in Shuilong City. She said to Zhang Yi, "Judging from the size of Snow Dragon City, I think Xinjing actually has some reservations about us. The size of the Yuanshi or vein is much larger than expected." Zhang Yi's eyes flashed with a strange color. "Is it really so?" But this is not unexpected. Naturally, everyone wants to take more of the good things. Shengjing District concealed the true reserves of the Yuanshi or vein, so that they, as the mining leader, can obtain more resources. It's just human nature. Thanks for watching the story. Stay tuned for more. Please subscribe if not already.